Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Brawn Body Podcast. In this episode of Motivation Monday, we're joined by Dr. Kyle Bowling, who is a chiropractor that practices in Louisville, Kentucky. He's got a pretty impressive record though. You're going to be amazed by this guy. Not only does he own his own clinic, but he's treated Boston Marathon champions, Kentucky Derby winning jockeys, Olympians, and pretty much professional athletes in any major sport you can think of. And the list goes on and on about how awesome this guy is. He's also starting his own company right now called CTM Recovery Products, and you can find more about that linked below in the show notes. But for now, Kyle, welcome to the show. We're excited to have you here.
Likewise. Thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
So when it comes to all the things that you've done, whether it be, grad school, starting your own business twice for that matter, board exams and licensure exams, treating these high-level patients, has there been any major things that you can think of that have really been an obstacle for you or kind of held you back, so to speak?
Yes. I mean, too many obstacles to count to really think back through all those stages. But I would say that the first thing that comes to mind was very, very early on in athletics, and it involved major, massive failure. So I'm a runner. I ran in all through school, ran in college, and I specialize in working with runners now. But like when I think about the drive that I've adapted, that I apply to everything now, I think back to getting cut from the track team in elementary school. So we're talking, 4th, 5th grade. And then, so that was year one. Year two, made the team, but finished last in every single race that I was a part of. And just that feeling of failure and the disappointment, and not really anger, but just like, just thinking I was trying hard for what I thought trying hard was, and seeing that, hey, I didn't beat one person, I finished last. I think that really set in motion, hey, if you want to accomplish anything, a lot of times it's going to come down to how hard are you willing to grind and how much harder are you willing to work compared to the competition. So that was elementary school track and field, but starting my own practice, getting out of school, I remember going around and trying to get just a little bit of money from banks to get a practice started. And I went to, I think it was 21 different banks and financial institutions that all told me no. Basically, we think your idea is bad for starting a practice that focuses on athletes, until I found one company that gave me enough money to get a treatment table and some Grafton tools. And it was like, I think it was like $5,500. So not much at all for a business loan. But it was that same thing where it's like, all right, the failure, the people telling you you can't do this or it's a bad idea, you have to use as fuel the fire, because no matter what you're doing, you're probably going to get people in front of you that are doing that.
Right. It can be a very uphill battle at times, but at the end of the day, you can't settle for the first excuse that comes up. I mean, there's 8-year-olds making millions of dollars on YouTube, and they clearly haven't, come up with an excuse to stop or, hold back or anything like that. And I often look at it like, if they can do it, then I should be able to do it, I think. Now, obviously, that's very taxing from a mental standpoint to, go to 21 different banks for a loan, just a small one to start your business, and be told no over and over again. So was there anything that you used mentally to kind of cultivate a mindset of resilience to keep moving forward despite all the adversity you were facing?
Really just trusting my own intuition and being confident that, hey, this idea I have will work. I have the things lined up to make sure it does work, as far as, working really hard with school and having, mentorship around me who have proven the model worked, to be able to bounce ideas off of. And I really 100% was confident that I had the things lined up to allow for some success.
Right, and it sounds like this is something that you put a lot of time and effort into, and this was something you were really passionate about. Like, you knew you wanted to work with athletes. You knew you wanted to treat with a manual approach, so you needed a table and you needed integrated soft tissue mobilization type tools like hawk grips or something along those lines to use. And you knew that was going to cost money, but you weren't going to let that obstacle kind of hold you back. The obstacle kind of became the path forward for you, in a way, I'd say.
Yeah, and to your point, I think that's what's so important for, people who are still going through school or trying to evaluate what they want to do with their lives, to find that passion. Because when you find that, that's what you're gonna fight for and not take no for an answer. It's much easier said than done, trying to find that passion. So that's why it's good to, shadow a bunch of different professions, talk to as many people as possible, and gather as much information as you possibly can.
Right. I can imagine networking was a real big thing for you, not just with starting CTM, but starting that first chiropractic business that you started is, like you said, having the right mentors, having the right people to help you along the line. And, they often say your network is your net worth, after all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good saying. I haven't heard that one.
So with that, are there any kind of key takeaways or major lessons you would want someone listening to this to kind of take away from hearing about how you've kind of faced a lot of challenges but continued to push through them, overcome them, and move forward despite, the obstacles that keep getting thrown in your way?
Well, I would definitely circle back to putting in the time and effort to find what your passion is, because that's the type of thing where it's not even a question of, this person or this bank or this competition, I wasn't good enough, or they told me no. But if you truly have found that passion, what you want to do, like that, they could say whatever you want, but it's not gonna stop you.
No, that makes a lot of sense. And I'm sure some of that probably came from your sports background yourself. I mean, your love and passion for sports, how you constantly faced adversity in sports. Like you said, you were cut from the team first year you ever tried. Second year, finished last place. You were kind of used to failure, so to speak. And because of that, when your new idea failed at first, it was like, well, okay, I don't have anything to lose. It's another day. I've been here before. I know we're going to move through it. I know we're going to push through it. And eventually the light bulb is going to click for you. I like to think of the Thomas Edison example. I use that a lot, how he had over 1,000 patents to try and make a light bulb. And it's like, when's the last time you try something more than like 30 times, let alone 1,000, before you give up?
Well, yeah, and that's a great quote. And there's one, I don't remember who said this, but it was like, part of what goes into that is maybe you're not smart enough to know when to quit. that's probably more the mode that I'm in, where I was just like, no, I'm gonna keep going. Thanks for your time. And it's not necessarily because I'm smarter than anyone. I probably just didn't know when to quit.
And as a result, you became very successful from that. So it clearly served you well.
Well, thank you.
Well, hey, really appreciate you coming on and just taking a few minutes to share your story with us and some of the obstacles you faced, how you overcame them. And for those listening, stay tuned, because on Wednesday we'll be releasing our episode with Kyle on mobility, stability, compression, tension, movement, his new company, and a whole host of other things that you really don't want to miss. So, Kyle, thank you again.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.